My BMW X3M is finally back. Now, it's been a while since you guys have seen this car, and that's because the job that we've tackled on this is the biggest job I've ever undertaken. The interior is completely stripped, and the engine isn't in the car either, along with so many other bits which we've had to remove in order to fit the new chassis leg,
which has now been replaced by the guys at Evolve Accident Repair Centre for this brand new one which we got from BMW, and I couldn't be happier with the job they've done. And while I'd have loved to do this job all on my own, I think it's better to be safe when it comes to structural parts of the car, whilst I don't know what I'm doing, but it's definitely been a good opportunity for me to learn for the future. Now, although we are way past the halfway mark, there's still so much more work to do in order to get this X3M back on the road.
But now that the chassis leg has been replaced by the guys at Evolve, and I cannot thank them enough, we've got to get back to work. But I've got one big problem. And that's because it's been so long since I've worked on this car. It was weeks ago which I took the engine out and stripped the interior down, and I can't remember where anything goes anymore. So now I've essentially got a bare shell which I've got to build back up with next to no recollection of how anything goes together. Which definitely makes this project, which I bought knowing this would be one of the hardest things I've ever done, a little bit harder. But there's only one thing that we can do, and that's what I do best, which is getting stuck right back into it and figuring stuff out. Now, I'm gonna have some help pop by later, which I'm definitely gonna need. But for now, let's try and get started reassembling my wrecked BMW X3M. Now, the only saving grace here is that I've actually filmed everything I've done on this car, and I'm gonna try and use that to help jog my memory. But there's so much stuff which doesn't make the cut, and so much stuff that gets missed on camera. There's definitely going to be gaps in the information that I've got. But one thing I do know is all of this wiring is for the engine bay, so that doesn't need to be in the interior, so we can get that pushed back through the firewall and back where it belongs.
So now that that new chassis leg is in place and looking perfect, we need to get the wiring back in the engine bay so we can plug everything in when it comes to that engine going back in. So once all the wiring is pushed through the firewall, we can now start hooking up some of the other bits. So the first thing to go in is the brake booster, followed by the master cylinder, which is bolted into the booster with 2 bolts on the front. But once that's in, then we can start playing around with the brake lines to get these back into place. But in reality at this point, I'm just getting warmed up and trying to jog my memory and see how much I can remember about this car.
Right. Master cylinder in, brake booster in, brake lines are on and clipped in and roughly where they need to be. And I've cleared out some of the interior from some of the bits and bobs that have been left in there. But now this is looking pretty grim, so I think we need to clean this first. And then I think I can put the carpet back in. I can't see a reason why I shouldn't be able to, because I remember that being the last thing that came out. So that's the next job.
Because the windscreen was removed at the body shop, that means that there is all sorts of mess inside the car. It's inevitable, but it's nothing that a quick hoover can't sort out and a wipe down. And once all of that's done, I can start plugging in this junction box for some of the interior wiring, and then we can lay in the carpet. To give ourselves the best access, I remove the steering column and also the dash frame as well. Now, if you've been watching the previous videos on this car, you'll remember that this frame is completely twisted from the accident, and it's definitely not going to work in the car in the future, but we've got a solution to that later. But now I think I've buttoned up everything there. We can now put the carpet inside the car. And once I took through all of the wiring in what I thought was the right places, I can now fasten in the brake pedal, which bolts onto the back of the brake booster. And also the most important pedal out there too, the throttle pedal. That one bolts in just through one bolt through the floor and a clip, and also plugs in through the carpet.
I'm actually getting on a bit better than I thought, to be honest with you. I thought I'd be a little bit more clueless than I am, but I'm not going to claim I'm a pro by a long stretch. But I think the next thing to go in now is the airbag ECU. Now, I've had this reset and it should be ready to bolt back in and be good to go. So that's the next bit to go in.
So we can get that plugged in, but as always, it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
I've just realised I've left this out, which is a bit of foam which goes underneath the carpet. So I've got to take that back out and put it all back together again. This is just how it goes. It's a learning curve. Right, the next thing to look at has been an absolute nightmare. 1 dash frame, 2 dash frame, and an Ethan. Yeah. So here's my predicament. This is the frame which I bought, which I paid good money for. Ethan, you want to show what's wrong with it?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. That ain't good. And the other thing is, I also bought the heater off him, and that's broke as well. So, what a guy, nice one. So here is another frame which I bought off a subscriber. The frame is actually fine on this one. I only paid 50 quid for it, so that was wicked. Another problem is that there's some damage again to the heater, which seems to be a never-ending problem, really. Oh yeah, and also they've cut every single plug off the frame as well. So we're gonna have to use this frame, whichever heater we can make the best using all the parts that we've got. And also I've got another dashboard, which will be fine. So we've got to strip it right back down to the frame and build it back up, which is gonna be fun. Sometimes I love cars.
So here was our plan of action. We were going to use the good frame which I bought off the subscriber and then build a heater out of the 3 which I've got, which are all damaged, and then we're going to use the original wiring which came with the car, so that way that we know that there's going to be no differences at all. So now we've got the loom mounted on the frame, and now we can mount the heater box up to that. This has been such an overly complicated situation for what should be quite a simple task, but sometimes that's just how it goes.
There we go, the dash frame is back together with a completely intact heater. And we've already found another problem. So everything about these frames looks identical, apart from one thing I noticed on these bits here, which go just above the speedo. There is no tabs here, and on that one, there is tabs.
And I've figured out exactly why that is.
It's because this is off a non-heads-up display model, and mine is a heads-up display one. So, do I go and buy another frame? Absolutely not. We're going to transfer those tabs over to this one and still put it in. Ethan's going to get done tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Top guy.
My man.
All it will take is a little tack weld, and all it's holding is a heads-up display screen. So it's nothing structural, it's nothing to worry about. All we need is a place to bolt it up. Right, we've done everything we can with the dashboard. Now we've got to wait until Ethan gets that welded tomorrow, and we can turn our attention onto the engine. How's the condition?
That's broken. That's broken. That's broken. Probably this is broken. Nearly every coolant part's broken. Yeah. It is. What the hell is that? Go on, let's fix it.
Yes, let's fix stuff. I'm going to start with the turbos. Matt, what are you going to do?
The broken bits.
Liam?
Moral support.
Ethan?
Don't know.
Good.
So while we're waiting for the dash frame, the boys all showed up and we got stuck right into the engine. So I was tackling fitting the new turbos, which you'll see in a little bit. Matt tackled some of the broken coolant lines on the front. Liam did something, and Ethan did something else. Now, because we're going to be changing the turbos, it's good practice to replace what feeds the turbos as well. So we're going to replace the oil feed and drain, and also the coolant feed and return as well. So we can remove the old ones from the car and replace them with the new ones, but one of them was very awkward.
We're 3 down, 1 to go. Struggling on this one.
This one is become one with the engine. And now I feel like a caveman.
Oh. Right, tag team. Ethan, you're in.
How's that going?
Well,
It's doing a madders, isn't it?
Proper Mazzain.
It is a Mazzolino.
Right, Matt's failed, Ethan's failed, we're subbing in for Liam.
It's like the sword in the stone.
The hairline looks good for me, Liam. We've got everything on it, we've got a heat gun, we've got the hammer, we've got the grips.
It's just there.
I've got some corrosion X just here, which not only does it insulate, lubricate, penetrate, it actually protects as well, so let's try some of that.
Wow. Oh my god.
It's good, isn't it?
Wow, and it smells great. God, look at it.
I'm glad we replaced that now.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is it like that?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Liam,
Yes?
show us what's in the box.
Wait for it.
Oh.
Bootylicious.
What's that thing they do with the, no, you know, the aliens on Toy Story?
Oh yeah.
Ah. Right.
This one.
It's time for the
Litco
hybrid turbos to go on.
What size is the impeller at the other side?
Big.
Big.
Do you know how much power it's going to make?
How many?
Lots. Yeah.
It's good.
Matt's going to be the exhaust.
Did it do it?
No. Add some more PSI.
Here we go.
Ready?
Any good? No!
You need to cover off the other exhaust ports you do first.
Yeah, I can't do any.
I'll do this one.
Okay, yeah, good. Give me some back pressure here.
Nothing.
It's not happening.
Maybe we should see if the engine can do it.
Which in reality was probably a good idea. So the first one to go on is the front turbo, so we can drop that into place and do the bolts up.
Ah! Are you okay?
Yeah.
So Matt's doing those up, but while he's doing that, I'll explain to you quickly for those of you that haven't seen that these are Litco hybrid turbos. So these are upgraded standard models, so they're going to produce more power, but that does mean that we're going to need to upgrade some other parts very soon in order to support that.
Montage.
And now the actuators are fitted on both the turbos, we can move on to some other bits, and part of that is going to be finding where all of this mess goes.
Ice cream so good.
I did something.
And the biggest part of that mess is the wiring in the engine bay, so it took all of us to try and figure out where all of these pieces go and where they're going to line up with once the engine's back in. But as you can see, some of us were working harder than others. But it was so good to have the boys around helping out on this car. It's the first time they've seen it, and they definitely saved me a few hours by popping over to help. So massive shout out to all of them.
Thanks for your help, Liam. Thanks, Liam. Thanks,
Chris.
Matt. Nice to see you. Thanks, Jack. You did absolutely nothing. Love you, Ethan. Right, next day, and we are back in the garage working on the X3. And I've got to thank the boys for popping around last night. They really helped out. We've got the wiring kind of roughly where it needs to be in the engine bay. And the engine, we've made a start on getting that back in one piece, ready to go back in the car. But for this video, I really want to make sure I get this interior sorted. So, the dashboard is the next thing to do. And Ethan has come back with the dash frame, which has now had these tabs welded on it from the other one. So, Ethan, the moment of truth. Should we see if it lines up? No, okay. Boom. Boom.
Oh.
Nice.
Succession.
Top guy.
Succession.
Top guy.
Shout out to my cousin.
Big up Ethan's cousin.
Big man Eden.
Me and Ethan are happy with the frame. That looks good. And we're happy with the heater that we've built up. This is the one that came out of the car that was damaged already. And everything looks identical. And this is the loom off this frame as well, so everything does plug up. But it has been an absolute nightmare. But we're only going to find out if this is right in one way. And that's just by getting it in, I think, isn't it? Let's get her in. Go on then, mate, let's do it.
So we can start laying the dash frame back inside the car. Now this one is a little bit rusty, but I was going to clean it up, but then I realised for how much work that was going to be, you don't even see it anyway. So I might have cut a tiny corner there, but the last thing you want to do is buy a used car and think it's perfect, and later on down the line find out it's been crashed and repaired badly, which is exactly the reason why when you're buying a used car, you need to check it out with Car Vertical. So whilst me and Ethan repair my Category S car, let's have a look at the report of another one. So check out this BMW X5. We can see it's got a green tick for odometer, but warnings on financial and legal status and damage as well. And when we scroll down just a tiny bit, instantly we can see photos from when the car was damaged, and it actually doesn't look too bad until you get to the back end of the car where it looks like the rear subframe's been ripped off.
Okay, so the dash frame is in and looking gravy. Now we've got to start trying to reassemble the new dashboard, and we've noticed we're missing a few ducting pipes. So we've got this one to go in. This is why you don't keep your car parts outside, because maybe we should clean that out first before we put it in. That's okay. Lesson learned. Right, let's get that cleaned up and get it put in.
Clean.
I'm definitely putting a trumpet noise over you doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But when we scroll down on this BMW X5, we can see that the mileage does check out due to there being no dips in the odometer graph, but it's got the dreaded Category B write-off, meaning this car can never go back on the road and is only good for parts.
Okay, so we've got the column into the rack. Good. All we need to do now is bolt the column up to the dash frame, and that's secure then. Then we can start looking at putting that new dashboard in. So we've got 4 bolts here. 2 of them are on a spring-loaded, oh no they're not, it doesn't matter anyway. So we can put this one here, that one there. God, that looks good. Right there.
So to make sure you don't get duped when you're buying a used car, make sure to check it out with Car Vertical first to make sure that it's not got any hidden history. You can use the link in the description, but make sure to use discount code Chris because that's going to save you some money.
Does it work? Oh, it works!
Back in the X3. Do you know what this is going to do?
What?
Gap everything. Professional.
Too good.
Professional.
Too good.
Okay, now the next thing to do is take the steering wheel off, because we need to do that in order to fit the dashboard. And then the dashboard's going to be a nightmare. I know it is. It's
Nah, we're going to do it in like half an hour, man.
See how many wires are in here? It's literally spaghetti.
So we can now gear up to fit the most important part of putting this interior in, because if we get this wrong, but we don't realise until later on in the process, that means that we've got to take the full interior out again to access something. So me and Jack McNeil spent the evening getting everything ready, checking everything over and doing all of the pre-flight checks to see if there's anything we've missed, and then the next morning me and Ethan put the actual dashboard itself in. So once we've got it lined up, we started putting in some of the T20 bolts, but we were just praying at this point there's nothing that we'd missed or got in the wrong place. But inevitably there was, but hopefully it was pretty minor. There was a clip missing for one of the bolts to go into underneath the dashboard by the A-pillar. So luckily me and Jack managed to get a new clip squeezed on by using a pair of pliers and a lot of fiddling, and then managed to get the bolt through, but hopefully that was the worst of it. But now with all of the T20 bolts in that secure the dash to the dash frame, it finally feels like we're making some progress, and it's starting to feel like a car again rather than just a bare shell. I've missed having this car for so many weeks now because I've been dying to drive it, but there's been nothing I can do to speed up the process. But now it's back in my garage and it's in my hands to get this job done. Now that we're happy with the position of the dashboard and the dash frame, we can start putting in some of the trims, the screens and everything else which goes onto the dashboard. But as I predicted, this was always going to be a nightmare because I could not remember for the life of me what things went where and in what order. So every single time a piece went in, I had to take it out again in order to fit something else that goes in before it. And that's exactly what happened with this dashboard screen. But now the clock spring's in place, we can now put on the cowling that surrounds that, and then also fit the speedo and the vent and the light switch which goes to the right hand side of it. After that we've got the trim surround for the heads up display screen. And then the radio and CD player can go in, followed by some of those centre trims. And to make this even more confusing, the radio did have lots of extra plug holes on the back which there wasn't wires for, so that just made you even more nervous that you'd missed something. But we were starting to make really good progress and pick up a bit of a flow and get going a little bit better on this dashboard. Or at least that's how I felt anyway, until straight away something kicks you straight in the face.
When I say this is hard work, I mean it's no joke. Every single piece I've got the wiring in the wrong place, and there's some plugs I can't find and some things that I can't find the plugs for. It's becoming a bit of a nightmare. So I'm trying to get this in, and I've got the plugs for the centre here. I have no idea where this goes, and also I'm missing the plug for the start stop button. Okay, never mind, I've just found the plug for the start stop, and also I've just watched myself on YouTube and completely forgot this wire here is for a screen which I completely forgot the car has, which goes just here. So that answers all of this.
Never mind, the flow is restored, so we can now fit up that centre screen and plug that in, and then also the centre vents and start stop button trim as well. And now the dashboard is more or less complete. We can put in the centre console and try and route all the wiring for that. So I can now do up the 6 big bolts which tie this into the body of the car. and then plug in and pop in the trim at the back for the heater vents. Now this is actually a new center console which I had to pick up because the old one was damaged by the seats which twisted and had to be replaced. In next is the center cubby and cup holder section, followed by the gear stick and also the surround and trim for everything else. And I was pretty happy I managed to get that in.
Yes! 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 Yes!
But unfortunately we're still far from done. The next thing to go in is the subwoofer covers on both sides, followed by the glove box. But the further through this job that we get, the easier it's getting, and the parts pile is getting smaller, meaning that everything's going together that little bit easier.
Words cannot describe how painful this has been doing this job. Every single piece I put in has got to come out 3 more times before it can go in for the final time. So it's took me like 3 days to do this. It's no joke, but we are finally making some progress now. We've got the dashboard in, we've got the center console in. The only plugs left unplugged are these ones here for the speaker and light on, well, just by the pedals. One here for the knee airbag, and all of that is because we're missing a bit of heater trunk in, so I need to get that, put that in, and then put those bits in, and we'll be good there. Next thing is the seat belt. I've got away quite lucky on this because only one of them is locked out, and I've managed to pick up just one, so we can get that swapped over relatively easily.
So we can unbolt the old locked out seatbelt from the car with the 4 bolts which hold it in place, and then replace it with the new one, and then pop the trims back into place. But the whole car is still looking a little bit rough, so it definitely needs a quick clean-up. So I go over all of the carpets and pedals with an interior cleaner and then give it a good wet vac, which is just going to refresh those carpets ready for the rest of the interior to go in.
Finally, I'm feeling positive about this interior. We've come so far with this, but we're missing one crucial ingredient to this massive concoction of parts. And that is the seats, one of the most important parts of the interior. And that's what's next to go in. If you remember from the earlier videos on this car, the old seats twisted on their frames, so although the airbags didn't go off, they are no longer safe to go back in this car. So I've had to pick up some new ones, but we've got some plans with the old ones which you might see in the future. And that is exactly what we've got here in the back of my van. Yes, they are minging and dirty, but they are X3M seats and they're going to be perfect as they are the exact specification of my old ones. Let's get them in. This has been by far one of the most challenging videos I've ever filmed. And I can't remember how this seat goes in. And if you've watched this far into this video, chances are you're enjoying it, so make sure to go down there and subscribe.
Now with both of the seats plugged in and bolted down, we can also give these a well-needed clean.
Well, that feels like a massive weight off my shoulders. That's most of the interior back together.
And it's come so far from when we got it originally, all the seats being twisted, the dash frame being twisted and nothing quite fitting properly, to where it is now with fresh seats, a new dashboard in and everything lining up exactly as it should. Some of the viewers out there thought this car shouldn't be saved, but it's nice to see that we can get this car finally back in a good condition.
I want to try and see if I can get these seats in a more sensible position. Now, obviously I'm not 100% sure we're going to get power to the interior or not with the way that everything is at the front, but it's worth a try. So to make sure that we don't spray fuel everywhere, if it comes on, I have just gone underneath the rear seat and disconnected the fuel pump, so hopefully that means that we're not going to spray everywhere. And I've just hooked up a little trickle charger because this battery is going to be dead as a dodo. So let's see if when I flick this on we get power. Yeah. Now I don't want to leave it like this for too long, but oh damn it. Okay, well the key does absolutely nothing. Let's try putting this here. Let's put that there. Still no power in the seats, come on. Please. I'm gonna try both keys just there and see if that works. Oh, she's trying, she's trying. If I had to guess, it's just because that battery which is on there is puny, and I don't think it's going to have enough power to even try and start this. But the good news is, we have lights on the dashboard. We have some sort of ignition. The screen seems to be working. This hasn't come to life, but it has. It's come to life. It's come to life. It's come to life. It's doing things. Everything seems to be lighting up. And the heaters are trying to blow. Let's turn those off because that's going to be sapping the power. Go on, one more try. She's moving a tiny bit. Come on. It's very slow. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. It looks like everything's working, which is good. Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm so glad this car's back. But let's leave it on charge for a bit and see if we can get these seats moved. For that, my BMW, you have earned back your plaque of honour. Yes. Oh, he's trying. He's going, he's going, he's going. Yeah! Yes. I can get to the first bolt hole. Let's keep going a bit more. Oh, seat's trying to fall over. Let's get a bolt in. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just missing something at this moment in time. It's nice, but that's it. I like things to feel a little bit more special, a little bit more of an occasion when you drive them. And I think we need to go a bit further with this. But that is definitely something that we can sort, and we're going to start with this. This is an item which I got from the guys at Wheel Finesse. We've worked with these guys loads before on steering wheel covers, on the Golf, on the Hyundai, on the TT. But this one is special. This is a carbon fibre wheel, and even better than that, it retains the heated functions, and it's got Alcantara sides with the M stitching to match the seat belts. And I'm in love with it. I couldn't be happier with it. But I want to see it on the car. So we've got to strip down the old wheel, transfer everything over, and then we can see what it's going to look like.
So the first modification for the BMW X3M is a carbon fibre steering wheel, and like I said, we need to take everything off the old one in order to transfer it over to the new one, so all of the trims, the buttons, the paddles, everything like that. But now that that's done, how much better does this new steering wheel look than the old one? It looks like a proper performance car steering wheel, and that's exactly what this BMW X3M is going to be.
Yes! How good does that look? And now, because I can sit in the car, we can fit it, and it shouldn't take as long at all. So this is going to be the final finishing piece to the puzzle of the X3M interior for this video. So here we go. Oh, that looks so good. God damn. Now, annoyingly, I broke this trim just here. Only super minor, but I'm going to order a replacement because I know that'll bug me because I'll be able to feel it while I'm driving. So that's going to stay off. And I haven't got a proper airbag yet, but we've got a new cover from the guys at Wheel Finesse as well. So for now, we can pretend it has got an airbag, even though it hasn't. But yes, it looks something like that. That looks sick. I've got to thank Wheel Finesse so much for this. It looks mint. Oh, I love it. If you do want to get one of these for yourself, the carbon wheels are specially made to order, so DM them on Instagram. The link's going to be in the description. And there'll also be a discount code down there as well. Or you can still get the stitch-on wheel covers like you've seen on the channel before on their website. So yeah, how mint is that? I can't get over it. It just... how much better does that make the interior look? And how much of a transformation is that from the start of this video? We've gone from pretty much a bare shell, completely stripped back, to a fully functioning, nearly complete interior. All we need to do is the curtain airbags and hook up the seat belts and hook up the knee airbag and a heater vent, and that is it, done. I'm so happy right now, honestly. I can't believe I'm sat in this car again. It's been gone for way too long, and I apologise about that, but I've missed it too, okay? And let's not forget, I'm not a trained mechanic in any way, shape or form. The only qualification I've got is in music, so the fact that I've been able to put this interior back together, I'm super proud. It just goes to show, it doesn't matter how stupid you are, if you try and have a bit of patience, you can achieve something pretty special. But that does not mean that this project is done, because we've still got so much more to do in the engine bay. Well, we need an engine in it before it'll even start. So for that, you're gonna have to wait until the next video. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Make sure you like this video, and I'll catch you next time.